Greetings and welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, hopefully my lights back there stay on because I had to power them with a battery pack that has been on the verge of dying for a while. So like not holding charge anymore. About 6 years old. About time, right? So if the lights behind me die off, I'm actually doing a DC power test on a DC refrigerator back here, and I don't want to disrupt the power to plug the lights back in because I want to gather a few days of data on it before I try another mode. Anyway, so we'll see how that works, and if that works, we're just going to go ahead and run those lights on for a while. So anyway, how's everybody doing today? Let's see. I'm not going to display the comments on the screen. This layout's not working right for that right now. So go ahead and read them. Mr. Chopra, thanks. Took the idea on Discord. Absolutely. I don't always respond to your guys' emails, but I do read them. Especially right now, I have this backlog of email. I've started to go through it, but anyway. And yeah, Pete and I are going to talk about doing a bridged matrix room tonight. I need to get some of the details on that. Interesting indeed. Looking forward to it. 6 minutes remaining. Your 6 minutes have been passed. Linux Diary. Hello there, Sean Douglas. Good day to you, Mr. Salmon, I guess. Greetings and welcome back. All right. Sounds suboptimal. What's suboptimal? Lighting looks fantastic on my end. Yeah, it looks good right now. The question is it going to survive the entirety of the show? That's really the thing. And I went with blue for Fedora and orange for neon. Not that neon uses orange, but we think of neon lights being orange, so, you know. Hello, Alexander Beer. Greetings. Greetings, Razzle Review. Cinco de Mayo was a celebration in Mexico defeating the French army. Everyone else calls it Wednesday. Okay. So anyway, let's see. No one's over there on Discord yet. Why not? tlm.li/STLD if you want to be on Discord. Switch to the Debian KDE now. Man, you got to keep going all over. See, KDE is particularly of interest to me right now because I did end up on Plasma on the Raspberry Pi test. And there were just some issues with Cinnamon where you can get hardware accelerated graphics on Raspberry Pi, but it's a complicated measure. And I found that sound doesn't work at all on Debian that I know of. And so I dropped Debian. I'll let you guys know what I'm doing later, but I will give you a hint. I landed on Plasma because it was a good balance of low system resources with a modern desktop and a lot of good full functionality in it. And it accomplished everything that I needed to accomplish so far. So we'll give you guys an update on that later. Greetings, Yates Network. How's it going there? Suboptimal battery bank thing. Yeah. I bought the thing. It used to charge a cell phone twice with a single charge. Now it barely charges a cell phone much at all. But it is still useful for charging small devices like Bluetooth headsets and my little MP3 player. It will charge things like that still. And so I keep it around and I use it for super low power USB things. And those LED lights are pretty low power, so it should be fine. But I'll have to throw it on the charger tonight. I think my ambient light generator also is a little bit low. But that should make it through the end of the show. I have stuff to charge tonight. We'll put it that way. Just switched to Fedora 32. Must admit, the new GNOME is pretty great. Couple things they need to improve. Yeah, you know, I did not even check if I'm on 34 or not. I think I am, but I don't even know. Do you have a Discord server? Yes, the Discord server. We are at, I'll drop the link in there, tlm.li/STLD. So if you've been around, if you're a fairly newcomer to the channel, tlm.li is my own personal link shortener. That's why it's everywhere, but I control the link shortener. So there was that one. I actually have a video about how I installed that as well. Do a Pi autopsy since you wear a forensics cap. I am doing a Pi autopsy. I am doing a test to see if I can do my regular day job on a Raspberry Pi. And I'll give you guys the update in a couple of weeks when we have stuff done. Hello, Pepshiki. How's it going there? I hope I got that right. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started in on our discussions, shall we? Let me go ahead and do that first. Set that up. And we will just go ahead, just switch to Arch from Windows. Very cool. Well, welcome. All right. Oh, let me take one more sip of coffee. This is a 3 coffee day, guys. This is my 3rd cup of coffee today. So if I'm hyper than usual, then that's why. I mean, see, I'm even skipping like syllables. Instead of hyper, I went hyper than usual, you know. All right, let's get started. Welcome back to Switch to Linux and another edition of DistroWars. And somebody asked me to review KDE Neon versus Fedora Plasma. This was of particular interest because I'm actually testing a Plasma desktop in production right now. It's neither of these two. So, but nevertheless, I have some things to say about Plasma, and they have made some changes. So we are going to talk a little bit about Plasma changes. Just some things that are different, and in my opinion, oh my lord, Plasma, what are you doing? But then some other positive changes as well, and then we will get into the distro wars. So we're going to be a little bit heavy on the first one, which is going to be KDE Neon, just to talk about some of the changes that we have. And before we get over there, though, let's go ahead and have a look at their websites. Now, Neon, according to them, is not even technically a distribution. It is a staging ground. What they've done with Neon is it is basically Ubuntu-based, except everything K-app, KDE applications, Plasma applications, all of that utilizes a rolling repository. So it's Ubuntu under the hood for the kernel and everything else in the repository universe, but it is K-apps on a rolling base. The purpose of Neon is to test KDE environments, just to do application development and things like that. Now, that being said, it is absolutely unequivocally stable enough to use. Now, there is a developer edition for the absolute bleeding edge, and there is more of a stable edition called the user edition. It is the user edition we are actually going to be looking at today. So you can come on over and grab a copy of it. They have a lot of things. This Shells, we're actually going to do an update probably on Saturday. Shells is a new company coming out. Linux Mint is working with them now as well. We'll talk more about that later, but what you can do with that. But nevertheless, you can come on over here. You can hit the download button up there in the corner. It's partially cut off by my my overlays there. But you can see the testing edition for the pre-release software, and you have the user edition for the officially released software on a stable base. So the stable base being, of course, Ubuntu. And then we have the unstable edition, just call it the Type A Personality edition, I guess. And then the developer edition, which has development libraries pre-installed. So you can go ahead and download it and go ahead and get that guy installed, and we will have a look at that one first. Now, before we get there, the other one we're going to use is the official Plasma Fedora spin. So this is the KDE Plasma. There are actually a whole bunch of spins. Let me just back up my URL. It's spins.fedoraproject.org. And we can see they have Plasma, XFCE, LXQT, Mate with Compiz, Cinnamon, LXDE, SOAS, i3. So you have a lot of different options there. So these are official spins. We're going to be looking at this one because the person that requested this video likes the Plasma and wasn't sure which one of the ones to use. Just go ahead and download it, and then you can go ahead and get that guy installed. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start in by having a look at Neon. So let's go ahead and wait for this guy to boot up here. All right, so here we have landed on the desktop. Now, one of the first differences between the Fedora and the Neon is which desktop session you're in. Neon defaults to Plasma, but you can manually select Wayland. Fedora defaults to Wayland, but you can manually, I said Plasma X, defaults to X, but you can manually select Wayland. Fedora defaults to Wayland, but you can manually select X. Let's go ahead and get logged in here. And the login screens, I believe, are similar. This uses SDDM, as I've remembering now that I'm actually working with a production Plasma, and I had to do some modifications to the startup files and such. And so over here, we are landing on the desktop. Now, I said we were going to talk about some of the changes. The first change, my God, Plasma, what in the world are you doing? Following good old-fashioned Windows, when you update Plasma libraries, it just downloads everything, and then it's like, you need to restart to install the updates. And then it literally looks exactly like Windows. It restarts, and then it sits there and updates before booting the computer. My God, are you trying to become irrelevant? That is insane. The other change is they've actually changed this is the same application launcher they've had. They've just highly modified it. I actually, initially, when I was looking around and playing around with this, I didn't like it because it was like, I liked the style and the design of the old one. The problem is the old one was actually a pain to use. And so after using this for a few days, I completely get why they changed it. I think this is a positive change, although maybe I would have, never mind. I was thinking maybe let's go ahead and keep the old one and just add another one, but now there's already enough of these things anyway. So getting rid of the old functionality and style. Of course, the old one had the 4 buttons down at the bottom, and you had kind of slide over. It was a little bit of pain and not necessarily intuitive to use, although it looked cool. This one looks fine, but it's a whole lot more intuitive. Everything is over here. We have our places section here, and then we have our sleep, restart, shutdown buttons, and then we have our logout buttons over here. So those are just some of the changes that they have made to the desktop itself. You can see here that one of the challenges is that Plasma, while this is defaulted to use your desktop icons and such, you can turn that on and turn that off. It doesn't actually have a tool to easily set what is on your desktop. So there's ways to do it that are not all that painful, but they're not as elegant. I have a whole separate video about how to put desktop icons for things on your desktop. Now, if it's just an application, it's quite simple. You just right-click it. You can add it to the desktop. You can add it to the panel. You can pin it to the task manager. You can, add it to favorites or things like that. But places, if you go ahead and do like Dolphin and start up places, you can actually just go ahead and drag your home folder over. I mean, you can copy here, you can link here, etc. So that's how you can actually put stuff on your desktop easily. But nevertheless, that's a little bit under the hood there. So let's go ahead and talk about why you might run Neon. With Neon, you're going to get the pure Plasma experience. Everything is pretty much working as Plasma had intended because this is Plasma's official quote-unquote distribution. All of your applications are going to be possibly newer versions than you will have inside of your even your Ubuntu repositories. It's probably not going to be a lot newer than your Arch repositories. You can see there's 119 updates. I actually just installed this and updated it last night. So there's 119 updates since last night, indicating how much they constantly roll this thing around. So you can come on in, and really they've not made it all that user-friendly, like not all that, they haven't geared it towards being used as a distribution because it is, in their opinion, more of a testing ground than anything else. Not that you can't use it as a distribution. So you're going to get the basic defaults, Breeze, Breeze Dark, Breeze Twilight. You're going to get just all the basics that have always been in there with really nothing else. As far as the core itself, it is, of course, based on Ubuntu. And let's go ahead and check the kernel on this guy. I didn't actually go through and do some of the testing that I usually do, so we're kind of flying through this guy blind. We're running 5.4, which is a pretty old kernel at this point in time. So that's kind of what we are getting there. Let's see if HTOP is installed. It's not. Let's go ahead and install it. All right, so here we have HTOP. It's running on 600 megabytes, really not doing anything else. And even in a virtual machine, it is running a little bit snappy. As far as, close window. Yep, close window. As far as your software availabilities, anything inside of the Ubuntu repository you're going to be able to find. So let's go with simple screen recorder. That should be in the repository. So there we are. We have the simple screen recorder in the repositories there. You can see where it's coming from. It's the Ubuntu repositories. And to my knowledge, they don't actually use your snaps or flat packs. Let's just go ahead and double check that. So snap is installed, but there are no snaps installed. So you don't have to install snapd. Let's look at Flatpak, and it looks like Flatpaks are also set up and configured, although there's nothing installed once again. And I don't remember the command off the top of my head to check if the FlatHub repository is actually listed there or not. So we'll go ahead and leave that where it is. So what are you going to get with Plasma, KDE Neon, I should say? Well, you're going to get a basic Ubuntu build with the absolute latest K applications in the purest form that Plasma is ever going to be in, because this is really designed to test Plasma. It's designed by the people who create it. And so if you are looking for the gold standard of running Plasma, this is going to be it. We have integrated updates, a modern system, easy to configure, a lot of system settings. This Discover App Center has a lot of apps, latest editions of the K apps, and then anything else is available in the Ubuntu repository. You have snaps and Flatpaks ready to go, although the system is not relying on them. So that's what you get inside of KDE Neon. Next, let's go ahead and have a look at Fedora. Alrighty, and let's go back to here while I reboot it. Okay, shut her down. And check in on a few comments. Let's see. Going on 2 years with Neon as your daily driver. Very cool. Trying to watch a stream about 2 distros I don't particularly care for. Woohoo! Gen 2 at the moment. Hey, I did a Gen 2 on Saturday, man. Come on. All right, fine. It was Calculate. It was Gen 2 for dummies. What can I say? I tried with KDE Neon, but it always crashed. Yeah. For some bizarre reason, Neon is one of the few that runs really well on my hardware. Interesting. Let's see. And in Qtile. Does Neon have snaps enabled by default? Yep, we looked at that. They are enabled, but they're not being used. There's no snaps installed, but you don't have to install snapd first. NVIDIA card, laptop question, but the video drivers are most troublesome part. Swapping between graphics is a bit more complicated, I guess. Let's use a discrete graphics card on my desktop so I don't need to do any swapping. Yeah. Hey, I have a Best Buy special in my card. That's what I got. 4 GB Best Buy special for under $100. Of course, same thing would probably cost $1,000 now with how pricey crap is. Firefox and KDE don't like it. Yeah. I don't know. It is not Kubuntu, but it's a different branch. 4-year-old Asus ROG with a discrete graphics card. There you go. Drivers aren't all that difficult for discrete NVIDIA. Gen 2, it's a bit more complicated. He did a lot of distro hopping before settling on Neon. Bizarrely, Ubuntu crashes on the same machine. Interesting. That is really weird. How does Kubuntu work? That'd be curious to know. All right, not a fan of Google, but I have the browser itself logged out. There you go. I have a decent hardware. I have a Ryzen 5 35U with 8 gigs of RAM. There you go. Nice. Yeah, my Ryzen 5 1600 was top of the line when I got it, but it's getting old now. Use quack quack duck for that. All right. 109 updates. Still less than Microsoft by at least 500%. Yeah, I think I have close to 300 on my Endeavor. I should update those soon. uBlock blocking 239 things from YouTube. Uh-oh. Anything I don't like about it is DuckDuckGo is the maps. I prefer Google Maps. Yeah. Got Windows 10 Pro running in a VM. Must say this is a super way to run Windows. Yep, there you go. You can block out all of the Windows telemetry if it's the guest. Microsoft loves Linux. Let's see how much. Yeah. Gone on and off several times over the years. Let's see. KDE Neon makes me kind of think GNOME OS, but more daily drivable. Yeah. Try proper Gen 2. It's great. There's a ton to learn customizing things. Yeah, I don't have the time or desire to learn how to do it all from scratch. That's the problem. Plasma, very annoying to get used to compared to say Cinnamon, but you can get used to anything. Yeah, I prefer Cinnamon. It wasn't an option for my Raspberry Pi build. No, well, I never thought I'd say that, but is one of the better DEs out there today. Oh no, we're losing Yates Networks to the dark side. Maybe third or fourth down the line, yeah. All right, let me go ahead and boot up Fedora here, and then we'll get started. On the second part. I'm going to try to remember to record the second part of the video today. I didn't do that last time. I had to wait for the thing to process and then download it. So it's kind of fun, right? Go, Fedora, go. Bad when your new laptop is more powerful than your next computer rebuild. Yeah. All right, we're getting there, so... So here we are on the login screen for Fedora. You can see it's effectively the same. Again, drawing attention that desktop session as defaults to Wayland, but X is a possibility. So that's going to be one of your major differences. Fairly minor out of the way, but just be aware if you're on Wayland or if you're on X, depending on the software and things. Although a lot of software has done a lot of positive movement in the direction of being able to work with Wayland now. So I'm not really sure it makes a lot of difference for the average user, so long as the software you need is able to work. So here we've logged in. Theming is, I think theming is going to be very similar. This one looks like it's using more of a darker theme than the lighter theme. So let's go ahead and just see, out of curiosity, does it have its own theme installed, or is it just using the dark version of the themes available? So they have Breeze, Breeze Dark, Twilight, and Fedora. And it looks like they're probably using the Fedora. Although the Breeze says it's highlighted, it does look like from the display here, it looks like Fedora is the one that they are actually running. Now with Fedora, you're going to have a deeper commitment to open source. So whereas Neon might work on a wider range of hardware and be a little bit more user-friendly and install codecs and such out of the box, Fedora is not going to do that. Fedora follows this FOSS-only philosophy. Now, it's not impossible to get everything else to work, but it does actually not have the capabilities right out of the box because it's kind of against its philosophy. You can see here when I boot up Discover, it's unable to load applications, verify internet connectivity. Internet connectivity is good, so I am getting this issue. And to be fair, I did actually run Fedora Plasma for a while in the past, a couple years ago, on a production machine. And I actually had a lot of problems with Discover on Fedora back then as well. So you can get it to work. It might actually be telling me that because it's checking for updates in the background as I was going ahead and getting this all set up and installing updates last night. It told me the same thing, and then a few seconds later it says, hey, there's updates you should consider installing, and I went ahead and installed those. So I don't know if it's doing that or if it's just like, oh, whatever, and there it is. Now it's back. So clicking in, we're gonna go ahead and see what our options are. You're probably on Fedora. The way they roll and the way they're not like bleeding edge rolling, but they have new versions that use the latest and greatest applications more frequently than an Ubuntu-based Ubuntu core does. And so with Fedora, you might get newer packages overall. In fact, I believe that the kernel is going to be new. So the kernel is 5.11. So it's a very nice kernel out of the box. Now, you're not using apt on Fedora. This uses DNF. So you're just going to do sudo DNF, and I think it's install htop. It's been a while. Oh, I'm not in the users. All right, let's see if I can drop through. There we are. Let's do DNF. Install htop. There we are. So the biggest difference, it doesn't really matter which package manager, just use the one you like the most. Apt is nice if you're installing a lot of different things in sequence because you don't have to check for updates. DNF tends to check for updates every single time you want to install something, which might actually add to time, but if you're using that, most people are just going to have a copy-paste list of everything and just do it once anyway. Not a big deal. They're both easy to use. Commands are very similar. It's just one of them is apt and one of them is DNF. No big deal. And so what we're doing here is we're just going to go ahead and get this guy installed, and hopefully this is in the repositories. Now, some of the things you will not find in the Fedora repositories are multimedia, particularly things that require external or proprietary codecs. You're not going to find things like VLC is not in the codecs or is not in the repositories for Fedora out of the box, but there is a separate add-on system that you can add called RPM Fusion, which does all of that quite amazingly. Let's go ahead and install htop, and then you can see this is actually running a lot more RAM, almost twice as much RAM running on Fedora. So not exactly sure why that is. Maybe it's Wayland is heavier or whatever. It doesn't feel any less snappy. It actually feels really fast. So if I didn't look at the RAM, I would not have assumed that it was using any different RAM than the Neon version was. Let's see if there's anything else installed for software. We had DNF Tregora, which is kind of like a Synaptic. I actually kind of hate it. It's like, but it is in there as well. So if Discover's not working for you, you have that. Otherwise, they're going to be fairly similar. So your biggest primary differences between the Fedora and your Neon is Neon is going to roll your K applications more frequently than the Fedora is going to. Because Fedora will keep the applications on this release, but they do a release about, I think it's like every 9 months or so. And so you got a brand new fresh refresh every few months. So they're not going to change all of the package versions in the middle of that time. Whereas if you want the latest K applications, Neon is going to roll into those more frequently. Fedora, though, is going to have newer applications across the board with everywhere else than Neon, because Neon is only exclusively based on the Ubuntu LTS. And the Ubuntu LTS likewise does not roll packages. So it's Ubuntu LTS with the new rolling K applications. You're not going to get that with Fedora. So in Fedora, you're going to have overall newer applications, but they're not going to roll as much. Neon, you're going to have overall older applications with rolling K apps. And so that's really your fundamental difference as far as these two guys go. So which one of these should you use as a new user? Honestly, if you are a new user to Linux, you're going to have a lot less frustrations on Neon. The reason is it's based on Ubuntu. Ubuntu is based and geared towards new users. They do not have a FOSS-only philosophy, and they are going to give you applications. They're going to give you media players. They're going to give you codecs, which could be proprietary. They're going to give you things that you don't even think about needing to install. Fedora more caters towards the FOSS first philosophy. If you're a FOSS first person and you're like, I don't want MP3 codecs on my system, then Fedora is going to be your best bet. This comes with a lot of good advantages in that if you're doing something in a high sensitive area, you are going to be a little bit more secure on Fedora because out of the box, it does not have or even package the possibility for proprietary software. You have to install RPM Fusion for that. If you do that, then you're kind of converting Fedora into most other distributions, which is just fine. Some people love Fedora for DNF. Some people love Fedora just for the way it rolls. Some people just love it because of the philosophy of it and just how everything's working under the hood. So neither one of them is absolutely the best or absolutely the worst. It all just is going to depend on your individual use case scenario. So with that being said, let me know which one of these do you use the most? Do you like the Plasma desktop? And what do you think of this new Plasma updates where it wants to install updates on a restart? I think that's absolute Windows-like nonsense. Let me know your thoughts to that in the comments down below. Thanks for watching and hope that you enjoy switching to Linux. Alrighty, let's go ahead and shut this one down. See, GNOME will implode on itself one day. Mark my words. There you go. To use Sol's Linux, but had some problems and switched to Ubuntu. More, you're not terrible anymore. Gotta keep you working on it. Too shabby. Yep. Using Pop! OS with Cinnamon Desktop. Not a fan of GNOME. Yeah, there you go. Never tried Fedora. How is it? It's actually pretty nice. Once you get used to it, and once you get, there's a lot of things you might need to do to get it to be a good functional working system out of the box. Once you do that, though, it's a very nice and pleasant system. Okay. Tried macOS Catalina earlier this week. I'm sorry. Mac is better than Windows, I guess. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Still prefer Linux as Mac OS is a bit messy. Kind of reminds me of weird combo of GNOME and KDE. There you go. Yeah. Let's grab all the worst stuff of it and put it in, you know. Just get actual OpenBSD if you want to consider Mac OS. There you go. Budgie, Deepin, I guess, is kind of messy like that. What isn't better than Windows? Yeah. DOS? I don't know. Or Deepin anything which is not fit for my workflow. Love Budgie. Yeah, I wanted to run Budgie on the Raspberry Pi, but I could not get. There were some fundamental things I couldn't get working quite right. So I said, well, let's go with Plasma instead. I like Plasma too. Wasn't Wayland supposed to use less RAM? I thought it was, but I don't know. Agreed, DNF Dragora is awful. It's excuse me. I was thinking about DNF Dragora again. Just install stuff using command line. More convenient. Yeah, it's the way I generally do things anymore. Restart updates is total nonsense. I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Use like Neon, lighter and more minimal. There you go. You ever use GNOME 40? Probably. So your reply email and your website send a reply back. I got your reply. I didn't reply back yet. I will get to it as soon as I can. I'm kind of tight on time right now, but we'll get y'all squared away. We probably need to jump on a call and chat. So light is still there. Yeah, it is. The light is still there. Should I check on the battery? See if the battery's dying? How's this one? Yeah, that battery, the ambient light battery, my orange light is that one's pretty low at this point. First light, yeah, okay. So to be clear, Plasma is not behaving like Windows, where it's like there's an update, I've uploaded it, restart your computer. It doesn't do that. Okay, it doesn't force you to update itself. It will, like always, it tells you there's an update. You can click the button to update it, and then it never wants to force itself on you. It just says, hey, a restart is required for this. Do you want to restart now? And you can hit yes or no, and it's not going to keep on coming back and nagging you that I know of. But every time I've experienced it, I've wanted to update right away anyway, and so I don't know if it comes back and nags you. But still, it's just like, we've been updating stuff forever. What's going on? Anyway. Well, let's go ahead and feed the beast, and then we will get out of here. You ready to be fed, beast? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to be fed? Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. That was my finger, cat. All right. Actually, I just checked the battery pack. The battery pack actually says it's still full, so that's kind of cool. The neon lights back there don't take much power at all. I should just always run it on that little thing. It doesn't do much otherwise. Let's see. Dora, by the way, GoDaddy charged me like $75 to restore the website. It was like, OMG, this is insane. Oh, GoDaddy is a giant ripoff. Never use GoDaddy. That is a nice cat. Yes, he is. He's a cutie. See, he's just sitting there now. He's like, give me more. Nope, now he sees something out the window. He's like, I see a bird. I want to go get that bird. Let's see. Switched from Mint to Fedora, and it's wild. There you go. You have a red cat. Aw. We have an orange tabby, like a pure orange tabby that runs around the neighborhood here. Kitty! How's it going? All right, guys. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Sorry if you just jumped on late. I see, like, we didn't have anybody on. Like, everybody jumped on in the last, like, 5 minutes. We are just coming to the end. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this guy down, and then we will get the edited version up. What's GoDaddy? GoDaddy is a hosting company. One of the bigger web hosting companies. They're a giant ripoff. They have invented interesting ways to scam people out of money. It's quite incredible. I've actually worked with them a lot, unfortunately, because I'm in the web design space and many people use it. It wasn't my idea to use GoDaddy, but you regret it now. Yeah, there's other things you can do. I mean, if you have just a basic informational site, I believe you can do that on like GitHub, I think. You have no cat of any color. No. Matrix room, Matrix. We are going to talk about it tonight, and then see what we can do. Hiding out from work to watch this. All right. Well, we'll send you back to work now. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up here, and then we'll get the edited version of this up here before too long if you missed it. So thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you guys tomorrow. We are doing a supporter stream, and I believe we have already decided on our topic of right to repair. So we're going to talk about various right to repair stuff, and we'll go ahead and do that. And so with that, we'll jump off here. Thanks for hanging out, and we will catch you guys later.